Tonight we're going to be looking at using symbols and then paragraph and character styles, mostly paragraph styles. But styles allow us to create a predefined collection of definitions for how we want our text to look, and we can also create styles for our graphics. We did that a few weeks back, and so we're going to basically do the same thing but for our characters and our paragraphs. Now, not everything that you do in Illustrator is going to be just a single page. I know Illustrator seems to be designed for logos and something like a one-off design or advertisement, but you can actually do multiple pages, and I don't recommend doing a book, but if you're going to do a pamphlet of sorts, I guess, a multi-page thing, and specifically what we're going to be creating tonight is a menu, and we're going to apply symbols and our styling in order to make this menu look like an actual menu without a whole lot of effort. Well, let's get started. So step one of this, if you are in Canvas, and you should be, there is a lecture called Symbols, Paragraphs, and Character Styles. And in that is a text file that you're going to need to download. Now, looking at the instructions here, this is just to get us started. I will go over all this with you, but if you are so inclined to jump in and get started, these are some of the requirements that we're going to use for this thing. But the text file should be downloaded. Now, I did this with my InDesign class, and for some reason, Canvas just borked the whole thing up. Like, it inserted all these weird characters. This one looks right. I did download it. I did import it. Everything looks fine. But if you get some weird formatting, please let me know, and we'll try and figure out how we can resolve that. One of the solutions was just to copy and paste all of this into Illustrator, but I want us to download this file as a text file, and then once you've downloaded that to a text file, we're going to need to create our working folder for tonight. So let's all do that together. grc17_241029 in our thumb drives. Create that folder. And then you're going to download this file, and you're going to move it from the downloads folder into that folder that we created. I'm going to do this on my desktop here, grc17. All right. Now, to get to your downloads folder, within your browser, there's, like in Safari, there's this little icon in the upper right hand corner that says show downloads when you hover over it. On your taskbar, you can also open up Finder and navigate to your downloads folder. You can also just click on your desktop and then hit Command N. That will open up a Finder window, and then you can navigate to downloads. But watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to select this text file that I've downloaded, and I'm going to drag it over into the folder I created. There we go. You don't need to open the file up. You can if you want to, just to check it out. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, was everyone able to do that? Give me a thumbs up or head nod. Okay, thank you, Vienna. All right, so now I'm going to open up Illustrator. And what were my requirements again? I think it was 7 by 10. Is that accurate? Sound right? Yeah, 7 by 10. All right, so I'm going to create a 7-inch wide by 10-inch high document. My color mode, I'm going to switch to CMYK. And why 7 by 10? Well, this is a menu, and really menus can be whatever size you want them to be, and so the client has asked for this kind of smaller page size for their menu, and we are going to oblige them. So once you have a 7 by 10 inch wide page and you've set the color mode to CMYK, you can also, if you want to, click in to rename the, oh, that's not going to let me do it. All right, there it is. You can click in to name this file. Really, it's not naming the file, it's pre-naming the file. When you decide to save it, it will ask you for confirmation of the name and also location. Alrighty. Click create, and boom, there we go. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is something called symbols. A symbol is something that can be copied. So when you are going into your silverware drawer, who's ever used a fork before? How about a knife? Spoon? Never heard of it? Okay. In our silverware drawer, we have all three of those. That's the kind of money I'm making, right? So I can grab a fork, but they are all looking the same to me, but they're not the same, right? Because they are individual forks. So they all have their own little nicks, their weird bends. So the forks may look the same, but the forks are not the same. The forks are different. Every fork is unique. Even though it's poured from the same mold, even though it comes from the same possible foundry, it is a unique creation. In Illustrator, we can create a primary or a parent symbol and then make multiple copies of it. And the cool thing about this is that each of those copies is connected to that parent symbol. And if I make an edit or change to that parent symbol, it gets replicated everywhere else those symbols are being used. And hopefully your minds are starting to think a little bit like, oh, sounds cool. I could use that for something like my logo, right? I'm going to have my logo throughout this document. Or maybe I'm going to have a repeating footer or repeating header. Stuff that looks the same or that is the same. And you can change instances a little bit within reason. You can size them differently. You can flip them and rotate them. But if you go into change the instance, you will update the parent, and then the parent will propagate out to all the other instances. So it's very powerful and also a little bit dangerous. So we're going to make a symbol right now. Step one is open up the symbol panel. And we do that by going to Window and then Symbols. Or you may see it right here. It's behind the swatches, brushes, and symbols. All right. Grab your rectangle tool and drag out a rectangle. Remove the stroke from that. And instead of a white fill, let's give it a different color. All right, and now we're going to drag a text box above it. And we're going to type the words, this is a symbol. We're going to make that a little bit bigger. And then we're going to drag this right in front. Just like that. And let's personalize this. Let's make it, this is my symbol. Boom. All right, we don't have to group it or anything crazy like that. Just drag select both of these things that we've created. And so to create a symbol, we're going to just take this and drag it over onto the symbol panel. Don't worry if it looks like it's going into another dimension here. Once you see that green plus sign there, you can go ahead and let go.
Wait, do we group it?
No, do not need to group it. You can if you want. but you'll have to ungroup it if you want to edit it. So once you drag it and let go of it inside the symbols panel, it's going to give you options here. And we're going to name this My Symbol. This is not going to be a movie clip. This is going to be a graphic. So click that drop down and choose graphic. Make sure that dynamic symbol is selected, not static. And let's click OK. And then just delete the symbol from your page. Now what I'd like us to do is using the artboard tool, I'd like you to create 3 additional artboards. And then this would be a good time to save. Now that we have 4 artboards, we're going to drag this symbol out onto each artboard. Doesn't matter exactly where it goes, just as long as it's on each of those pages. I mean, if you want to get fancy, you can. Okay, cool. Now, in the symbol navigator, in the symbols panel, I want you to double click on that symbol. Double click on My Symbol over here in the symbols panel. And then it does this cockeyed thing. It opens up your symbol, the art for it, and you can see you're inside of My Symbol now. That arrow means go back to the main artboards. But right now you're inside of the symbol, and it's blanked these out and just has this one right here. This is kind of confusing because it's spanning across 2 artboards, but just understand that irrelevant to where your artboards are, whatever zoom you're, and it's going to just do this with it no matter what. Now I'll prove it to you. If I go back out of this, hit that arrow to get out of the symbol editor, and I'm going to just kind of zoom in here like this on the artboard 2 and double click on my symbol again, and there it is. Does the same thing. So whatever zoom, whatever artboard you're on, it's going to blank out all of the instances of that symbol and allow you to edit it. So what I'm saying is this isn't on your artboard. It is inside of the symbol editor is where you're at right now. And I wish that they changed everything so that when you were inside of a symbol, you knew you were inside of a symbol, that there was more clues than this gray bar at the top. But it is what it is. That's where we're at with Illustrator. Okay. So let's go ahead and select the background rectangle. And we're going to give it some radius corners. So you should be able to see these little 4 corner grabbers. And when you hover over them, it shows you a little curve. And if you click on that, you can give this a curve. If not, if those don't show, you can click up here, assuming you are in the same workspace that we've been working with before. Oh, not that. And then you can slowly bump this up if you want. So I'm going to go like that. You can also change the radius shape as well. Corner type. I'm going to stick with round. All right. And then I'm not a big fan of this typeface. So I'm going to do Avenir Heavy. And then I'm going to need to drop my typeface size down a smidge because it wrapped. And I want to center justify this. And then I'll do the same thing with the actual text box by dragging the left and the right edge of the text box to the left and the right edge of that rectangle. There we go. Let's try a little bit more. I'm going to make the green darker, and I'm going to change the text of this from black fill to white. Okay. And hit that back arrow or hit Command S. And now you can see where we have all of these symbols has been updated now. So that's symbols in a nutshell. If you want to use a pre-built symbol, you can drag it out, edit it, do whatever weird things you want to it. That sounds not okay. And then every time you drag that symbol out now, it's going to have those changes that you've created to it. If you want to add symbols, you should be able to click the little hamburger menu here and open symbol library. We've got ribbons. I saw logo elements as well. Open symbol library, logo elements. So these are predefined things that you may put on a logo, like a rocket ship or coffee beans or this computer from 2004. All right. That's symbols, y'all. Fun. Super, super handy, especially when you're replicating stuff or when you're doing something a little more complicated. Like if I'm going to edit this symbol here, I'm going to change my green background here to kind of a charcoal gray. I'm going to remove the corner radius, and I'm going to set the width of this to be the width of my page, which is 7 inches, using the Properties panel. And I'm going to set the height. I'm going to unlock this and set the height to 1 inch. And now I can drag this and make it a footer on all of my pages. I can go a step further. Make this left justified. So I can create a footer like that, something that repeats across all of my pages. Okay. Symbols. Boom. Done.